Today I'm going to break down my near perfect solo victory cup finals game. The strategies I used in this game are something that every single one of you guys can do as well. I wasn't W keying the whole lobby, I wasn't using my zero ping to exploit people. This was just a smart and passive game that anybody can do. Before we hop into it, I just want to tell you guys something that I've been working on like crazy. Obviously you guys know about Forever Zone Wars by now. That map blew up to the moon. Thank you guys so much for the support on that. Because it did so well, I worked non-stop with a guy named Graham to make some pretty awesome changes to the map that you're gonna notice right away. I won't spoil it because you guys are gonna see what I mean. But with that being said, let's hop into this game. The first thing I need to tell you is I queued into this game 45 minutes into the finals. Now, a lot of people don't think about this. If you queue at 15 minutes or 45 minutes in the finals, you're gonna get into the easiest lobby. The reason is you're gonna be in a game with all the people that died in mid-game fights. That means you're gonna be in a lobby with all the people who aren't the best fighters. Obviously, you're not gonna be with 100% bad players, but in general, that's kind of how it works. Now, I landed at Reckless Railways, and this game, there just happened to be nobody here. A lot of times this spot is super contested, but this game, it was free. So I just got my loot and then headed over to the boss. I attacked this boss from above, that way I can just like hide from his shots after I have to reload and stuff like that, and I can scout around for any people pushing up and sneaking on me. Obviously, the boss fights are really loud, so being on elevation and being able to scout is really helpful. After killing the boss, of course, I carry the SMG, but I also go down and I upgrade my shotgun. My chat told me to always make sure my shotgun has angled foregrip. Now, after I got completely set up with medkits and big pots, I just rotate to the zone. I'm trying not to fight anybody because there's no reason to. I have everything I need to win this. So the mission is get to the endgame without fighting. If you look at the zone right here, the zone is clearly pulling far north. So the best way to rotate here is by hugging this right side, trying to get north in the zone without rotating down the center. A few tips to help you make more endgames is if you see people, build them off a little bit, just place a few walls, block that angle, and try to break line of sight. Whenever you see someone, try to move away from them, and you don't need to shoot them. A lot of people just shoot anybody they see, and that's how you get people angry and they'll key you. Just take a chill pill. If you got what you need for endgame, just chill. Right here, this guy shoots at me and he's like holding me on the edge of zone with him for some reason. So I base up for a second, I don't rush anything, I just think, where can I go to get past this guy, get further into the zone, set myself up for endgame without fighting him? Because it seems like he just is holding me. I noticed that I can backtrack on my rotate a little bit, go under this bridge to break line of sight. This guy sees me, I build walls to block that angle so he knows he's not gonna get shots on me. And then I wait a second, I'm like, is he gonna rotate the opposite way? What's going on here? Once he eventually rotates, I work my way in a little bit more, but this is when I really need to stop the rotate. As you can see, there are so many boxes built in front of me, so if I force my way in any further, there's a chance I could get sprayed and griefed and lobby focused. I pull the edge of the next zone, and the next zone after that is a half and half zone. So there's no reason to force myself further into the zone because there's a chance I might pull it over here, but I end up pulling the half and half zone and we are just chilling. Eventually, the next half and half zone does pull away from me, so I time this rotate. When the guy in front of me rotates, that's when I go, following his path because he wasn't even getting shot at. I don't go too far because if you go in the center of everybody, you might get lobby focused, so I just base up on the edge of this mountain here, and really nobody has line of sight on me. At this point, I hear somebody die nearby me, and this is an opportunity to scoop up some extra loot and top off my mats. I just have to scare the guy who got the kill back, and then I scoop up the mats and get ahead. The next zone pulls right next to me too, so I use those extra mats that I had to just tunnel to the zone, and boom, we're in the moving zones, no problem. To start this moving zone, I'm just sitting in my cone, really scouting around, making sure nobody's looking at me. Obviously, this high ground guy is a bit of a problem here. If he looks in my direction and I edit this cone, then he's just gonna fry me while I'm grappling and I'm dead. So I see him turn his back to me to shoot someone else, and that's when I start my rotate. Literally the easiest techniques, just figure out who's the biggest danger, wait till they're distracted, and go. Grappling off more elevated builds is the best strategy to get further further with these rotates. Also grappling off the top of the builds, that way you can just fly over top of them. On this first rotate, I go all the way to low ground, which honestly is not the place you want to be necessarily. It's best to stay elevated on these rotates, that way you can always utilize the grapple to rotate. If you get stuck on low ground and you're completely trapped in, then you might just have to rotate by foot, maybe tank some zone to get around builds, and it just gets to be a little bit messy. But I'm honestly chilling down here, nobody's really basing around me, so I just get in my cone and get ready for the next rotate. I wait until I have something good to grapple off of, and of course no one's looking at me, and then I just launch off this metal box. This time I do get a more elevated layer, and now I'm in a good spot. Super good mats, still have good heals, got a medallion, everything is lining up. But I'm thinking to myself, what win condition am I missing here? And that's when I realize, okay, look at high ground right now. Stop what you're doing, focus high ground. I chop him out, start to grief him. After chopping him, I don't rush up to high ground right away. It's not necessary to immediately go for it. I'm playing the slow and passive game. So once again, I get in my cone, see what height's doing, and then I rotate to the front edge. I do look for a little refresh on the way here. I had a nice little ramp trap set up, so I just edit the ramp to shoot this guy on backside of zone, almost get the kill. I even go up to push after him, but I just couldn't find him. After that play is lost, I don't push it anymore. I just snap out of it, rotate to front edge of zone again. Don't get too caught up trying to fight somebody. Only fight someone for like 5 seconds, then rotate. Now I'm fully in the zone. We have a lot of time to wait until my next rotate. So there's a couple things I can do. I can look for another refresh, but my mats are really good. So what I should have been doing right here is just looking at nothing except for high ground. But this time I do slip up. That's why I said it's a near perfect game. It wasn't perfect, but I'm still in a good spot. I get ready for my next rotate, and as soon as I see it kind of pull back in my direction, I start to ramp up. I get elevated here. Now we're back on track. We're working our way up towards the high ground, getting in a spot to grief high ground. But that's when I see somebody else chopping out high ground. So I wait a little bit. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? Are they going to get in a 50-50? But he ends up just chopping out high ground and then rotating to the front of zone. So I'm like, okay, I'll snatch that. I get up there, get way up in the sky because I don't need to be afraid to die of fall damage. I have the grapple. I heard a lot of grapples going off, which is why I kind of hesitated here. I'm building above me just in case somebody was trying to grapple up and pump. But as soon as I realize I have it, I just make a nice little tarp up here and start spraying down. I'm mainly focusing on structural integrity, making sure I'm not getting chopped out. As I was spraying down, I got the freest kill ever, and this guy had another medkit for me, which is awesome. But I should have dropped my big pots for these bandages. The more white heals you have in these endgames, the better your chances. And at this point, with a medallion being on high ground, there's no point in carrying big pots. So that was a bit of a mistake. But after getting that loot, I get back up to high ground, and at this point, all I need to do is take this to the heal off, and I should be able to win it. The goal right now is spray down at everyone, make them fight on low ground, and then play the heal off and win it. Sure enough, I had enough mats to just double layer my bottoms. That way it's impossible for me to get sprayed out pretty much. I made it all the way to heal off with 3 medkits, and it wasn't enough. Bro on low ground had 6 medkits. Like, you cannot make this up. Nevertheless, that was still a near perfect endgame. If I would have just brought a few more white heals to the endgame, it would have been a free win. But that slow and passive game is probably the easiest way to win in the solo finals. You don't need crazy mechanics. You just need to be patient and know what to look at the right times, you know? Don't forget to go try out the new Forever Zone Wars update. Code's down in the description. I got more content on the way, so stay tuned. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.